Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. We get together every Thursday right here at 3 Agent, along with some other great producers, Kyle Whistle, Daniel Beer, myself, Amy Wienans. We talk about real estate. Maybe you're in real estate. Maybe you just like real estate, but it's a lot to talk about. I've been doing it for over 30 years. But I'd love for you to ask some questions during this time. We're going to be talking about listings today and how you can add more listings to your career and to your business in 2024. But I don't want you to wait till the end of the time. If you have something to say during that, just type me a quick question or a comment and we'll go over it. But listings are my forte. They're my specialty. I sell a lot of resale homes in the Triangle. So I think listings are wonderful because at the lowest ebb of my market, probably only had a few listings, but at the highest ebb of my market, I've carried up to 165 listings at one time. Can you believe that? That was the 2009, 2010 market, but it was quite a different day. Now you can't take a listing for more than, 2 minutes before they're sold. And I've heard people talk about how, the listing's been on the market for 30 days and it's not sold. There must be something wrong with it. It's all in perspective. The market changes, we change. But I want to talk to you about being average as opposed to being an extraordinary agent. And of course, I want you to be an extraordinary agent. I want you to have a great career. But I want to tell you that the way this industry is built, it's built on ordinary agents, and ordinary agents do very few sales per year. And I don't recommend that. I think real estate's a great career, I don't think any agent should have a ceiling on what their income is. So if you want to have that second income just to help out the family, that's your option. If you want to make it a full-blown career and have absolutely no limits, that's also your option. And that was the option for me when I got into the business as a single parent many years ago. So why did I decide, after about 8 years of hauling and hoping, as my friend Bill Gallagher would say, to become more of a listing agent than a buyer's agent? And I did it for a couple reasons. I did it because I knew I could have other agents in the industry working for me. When I got a listing in a great neighborhood, priced it correctly, everything, I had the market working for me, as opposed to one person taking one person out and finding a home, which is a valuable thing to do. But it's quite different when you've got 10 listings, when you've got 20 listings, when you've got 30 listings. When you learn how to carry a listing inventory, it's like filling a store full of merchandise. If they come to your store and your store doesn't have very much merchandise, they don't stay very long. If you've got a lot of things to look at, the market works for you. So I think one thing I would tell you about is the burnout in this business. I've seen so much burnout in real estate this year. And I jokingly say they were in real estate for about 15 minutes. And what I mean by that is it's a true fact that 87% of the agents do not make it past their 5th year in real estate. Now, why is that? It's because it's a real high burnout industry. So in this industry, I have to tell you the truth, I've burned out of real estate before. When I was in my 20s, the phone rang all the time. I had some quick success. I said, man, I don't want to do this with my life. The phone rings at 11 o'clock at night, at 7 o'clock in the morning. What in the world am I going to do? But it came to be a time in my life a little bit later where I really needed a career. And of course, I came back into real estate with full throttle. So to be a listing agent, I want to tell you, you're going to have to demand more of yourself because it's just a more competitive version of real estate than showing houses. It just is. And I get in a lot of trouble for this. Please don't write me any hate email, but any little housewife can sell a house. Oh, I know that sounded so bad. I didn't mean it to sound bad. It's just that it's more competitive when you're in the market for listings than it is when you've made a friend. You get to know that friend, you service them well, you do a great job for them. It's still more competitive. So you have to think about, I don't know what your intentions are for your future. My intention for 2024 is to do a whole lot better than I did in 2023. There was some things that held me back. There were some personal situations that I absolutely had no control over. But you got to ask yourself, well, what am I in this business for? What am I willing to fight for? Because your career is actually your battlefront. You know, have you ever seen a caveman movie? You know, they go out and they're hungry. They have to go kill something to eat it that day. And the next day they have to do it all over again because they had no refrigeration. I'm sure you've seen those caveman movies. They're a lot of fun. I think Ringo Starr was in one time, but I regress. Your career is your battlefront. So make something out of it and find out what you are fighting for. You know, for me, it was clear cut. I had 3 kids to fight for that I absolutely adored. So what is going to force you into being on your top game? Because you're going to have to be on your top game to be a fantastic listing agent. Often, I think in our lives, we'll do more for others than we ever do for ourselves. But in this business, you can have so much. You just can't let your background or any kind of burnout squelch your ambition. And you got to raise your ambition to be a great listing agent. So I would challenge you to be around a group of people that inspire you and that lift you up. So I tell you, the biggest thing that actually might make you move forward when you look back over 23, I would ask you a question. Has anybody you loved really suffered because of your inaction, because of your lack of executing your business at the highest level? And when you see that somebody you love has suffered because you haven't done things at the level that you are capable of doing them, that ought to spur you on. So how to get more listings is to focus on listings, folks. There is no magic formula. Most of the time when I come in here on Thursday, or many times, I've actually talked to for sale by owners the day before because I don't want to lose that contact. I don't want to lose the street level knowledge of what it takes to talk to somebody who's entered into the arena of selling their house themselves, you know, and you can list your house on Zillow these days. So that's kind of a new form for sale by owner. They used to put tacky little signs up. There's probably a few of those still up. There's all kinds of for sale by owner signs, but basically they said, hey, I can do this. Those real estate agents, oh man, I in town. I don't even know if it's still out there. Please send me a message and tell me if it is. It was called MDT. And the company was a real estate company, and it stood for My Dog Tess. I hope they're still out there. They had some good people there. But this guy that started this real estate company, he got through with a real estate transaction. He said, my dog Tess could have done a better job than this agent just did for me. And I find that hysterical, but I also find it sad to say that this guy finished a real estate deal and said his dog could have done a better job. So to get more listings, folks, you're going to have to focus on doing things you don't want to do, that you're uncomfortable doing, and just realize it's a more competitive arena than you're in most days. You know, here's the thing. Stay in touch with your people. When you do a for sale by owner, if you get on the phone, you talk to for sale by owners, stay in touch with them, follow up after that. It's a huge amount of for sale by owners that actually list with people, and the same with expired. You just have to learn to have that conversation with them in not a, you know, honestly, there used to be some agents that would call for sale by owners and expireds and actually talk down to them. Can you imagine anybody any less people oriented that would say, oh, you're so dumb? This was their attitude. Oh, you're so dumb to try to sell your house on your own. Well, folks, it's America. You can't sell your house on your own. You can still do anything you want to do on your own. What you want to do is be there for them, actually give them an opportunity to interview you for the job of selling your house. And then hopefully you can come up with something strong enough. And one day I'm going to do something strictly about what to do during that listing presentation. But right now, all I'm talking to you about is talking to somebody that has proclaimed that they want to sell their house and say, fantastic. Are you working with agents in any capacity? Let me ask you this. If you don't sell your house by the end of the month, by the end of January, are you considering interviewing agents for the job of selling your house? It's a simple conversation. And yet most agents will not do that because it's a very proactive stance. It puts you in the arena of being very competitive. So, I'm going to let you learn from some of my mistakes. I've made some really big ones. Some we will not talk about during this show. But right now, one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made in my career is staying in touch with my past clients. And I haven't done a really good job of that. And I would tell you that many agents do a much better job than me. And your past clients should actually be about 1/3 of your business. And maybe you've got that right now. But I would say to be a great listing agent, you have to come up with a system that keeps you in touch with your past clients. Now, as a listing agent, sometimes those people are moving in town. Sometimes it's a one-time sale. Maybe it's an estate house. You know, you can make a great impression, but they may never have another house to sell. So it's a little bit different in that arena, but you still want to stay in touch with your past clients. And I just hate the approach. I'll be honest with you. I think I can't remember who did this. He's a really good looking Irish guy. You'll message me if you think of his name, but he would always say, and talk to those people. And then at the end of the conversation, he'd say, oh, and by the way, if you know of anybody that's going to buy or sell real estate, call me. I think I'd rather chase an ambulance than do that. I just, people know who you are. They know you're in real estate. You don't have to say that. Actually, you could be really interested in what's happening in their life to keep in touch with people. You could put it on a higher level, more of a person to person, because they'll get around to asking you about real estate and then you can answer. But I don't think I'd end with that. No, that's not my style. So I'm not going to recommend it to you. But working your sphere of influence is really, really important. And when you have that conversation, let it be about them, not about you. In other words, what's going on in their life, as opposed to, hey, I'm a realtor, I'm looking for business. That's so self-serving. And I want you to come from a place that's selfless and not having that kind of conversation. I know somebody that says, whenever I think about somebody, I just dial them up on the phone. And I like that approach. Hey, I was driving through the neighborhood. I saw your new house and I just wanted to give you a call. I like that approach. So I think, how's your job going? Something like that. Something you've talked about them in the past, but not self-interest. That's much better. Everybody does birthdays, so I would not recommend doing a call on their birthday. The holidays is okay, but wait for them to ask about you and your business, because most of the time, if you ask them about their life and their business, a human being will get around to asking you about yours, and then you can tell them a funny story about real estate and make it light. So being in front of them and knowing that they will remember you at the time is really, really important. And your database, I would keep in touch with them about things that are really changing. Right now, interest rates are changing. I just went to the home builders forecast for 2024. They had some great information about demographics that really showed me beyond a doubt that we'd have a solid, strong market through 2030, which is a great way. If somebody asks you about real estate, say, hey, your equity is safe. It is in good shape. And of course, asking for a CMA, and I'll tell you the truth, asking for an equity update is probably one of the best ways to stay in front of people and get a real estate lead for a listing. One of the ways you can do that is take a picture of their house in MLS, Or you, better yet, take a picture of their house on Zillow and say, and put a sticky note on it and say, Zillow said your house is worth X amount. I've got a different opinion. What are your thoughts? Believe me, if you mail out about 100 of those, you'll get 10 calls. So that's it. But listen, to get listings, I'm going to tell you the negative D's. I call them the negative D's that you have to focus on. These are really kind of depressing, but here's 5 D's: death, divorce, diploma, disease, and deployment. So if somebody's getting transferred overseas with the military, you're probably going to have a listing pretty soon. If they've got a terrible disease in their family, there might be something going up. I think that's a terrible time to call and ask for a listing, but you can tell them you're thinking about them. The diploma, they're getting ready to get out of high school, going to college. There's going to be an empty bedroom there. A lot of people downsized during that time. And of course, divorce is one of the greatest things that we have in real estate, sad to say. And of course, death. When people die, they don't need a house anymore. And sometimes the heirs want to sell it like white lightning. So on a more positive note, the positive things to remember is when somebody gets married, when there's a new birth in the family, when they're now an empty nester, or when they retired, or when they get a huge raise or a great new job. They might need a new house. So if you're cognizant of those things, and if you're the kind of person that can work social media, this would not be me, by the way, but you can scroll and see what's happening in people's lives, this, that, and the other. And if they are, you can send them a special message. Hey, heard you just got that great new job. So excited for you. Fantastic move. And if you do this on a regular basis, if you come to work to get a listing every day, you're going to earn more money in this business. That's your job, to get a listing every day. So you reach out to as many people as you can. 20 people a day is minimum. Real estate is a contact sport. So if you're there with them at that time, you're going to really do good. So I just want to end this by saying, I'd love to hear from you, but also high performers in this business. And by the way, I just looked at the numbers in the triangle, and there are very few what I consider high producing listing agents. Most of the people, some people have a balanced business, that's fine, but very few agents have like 75% listings, 25% buy side. Listen, if you have new construction, that's 20, 30, 50, 100 listings a year. But if you're in the arena that I'm in, which is general brokerage, that means you've got to do a whole lot more talking to a whole lot more people than one builder who's going to give you 50 houses. So when you remember that 80% of the agents that you're working with right now are not going to be in business 5 years from now, I just want you to be a high performer and know that the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want to do in this business. So always ask when you're working on these things, what did I learn? What did I listen to? Did I ask questions? Because high performers realize that you can't leave your personal development to chance or to random, because if you do that, you're going to end up in mediocrity. And that's where most agents are. Sadly, mediocrity is the land of comfort. We wait to see what the real estate day will hand to us instead of taking hold of our day and winning the day. There's a great podcast I listened to called Win the Day. And it means you make the day yield what you decide you want it to yield instead of waiting for it to a chance, leaving it to chance. So I think this is real important. I'd love for you to get more involved in listings as you go into 2024. And I'd love to help you in any way at all. So we are building leaders in the real estate industry, and we'd love to hear from you. So I'll hang around for a minute and see if you've got any questions, comments, drink some tea.
Got a question from Michael here. A lot of people's homes expire at the end of the year. How would you recommend reaching out to them?
I think that's a great thing to remember, and that is so true. I've seen a lot of expireds. Of course, you get in touch with them. A lot of agents that I know actually leave packages on their door, and I think we've got some pretty good ways of getting people's telephone numbers. But however, I have noticed that you might have to go through 7 numbers, and then you're lucky if you get one that's the actual person. So actually going out there and leaving something on their door or mailing them something is probably going to get you more results. And a little bit of thought about what you're going to do to what you're going to say in that mailing that will make them call you. But definitely you got to reach out. And if you're strong of heart, of course, it's a neighborhood you really want to farm, you really want to be known in, you'd be knocking on that door. You'd be asking them, hey, I know your house is expired. Don't mean to bother you. I just want to know, are you still interested in selling? Or is there a time in the future when you're going to consider selling in the future? So it's a real low-key type thing. But yes, I do believe you need to take advantage of that that first of the year expiration. One thing we used to do is we used to keep a big file on the listings that we didn't get. And so at the end of the year, I remember Naomi was my listing agent at this time, and we'd work together, and we'd pull out that file and we'd look at the ones that we had talked to that maybe they didn't sell, maybe they didn't list, maybe they listed as somebody else and didn't sell. And we'd get in touch with those people because they had contacted us once before about selling. So if they were interested in selling anytime in 23, maybe their interest is higher in 2024. So I would do that also. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming by. I always love to spend this time with you, and I will see you next week.